Alright guys, so in this video we're going to be going over the import process of importing our bulk file and all of the potential supplemental data that Adtactix supports, and then we'll finish it off with kind of syncing the data and explaining kind of how you can delete the used data for that session so you're ready for the next session. So first step is make sure you've selected your correct market and you're logged in to Seller Central, and then if you're using like Helium 10 for the rank data, make sure you're logged into Helium 10. All right, and first step to download our bulk file, we'll just come up here and click on this button. All right, and we're going to get greeted with a prompt here. I invite you to read it at least once so you kind of know what's going on. The most important thing is we don't end up checking this guidance for sponsored products. That's going to add these data validated drop downs literally in every cell, and it just messes up Google Sheets really bad. So we're going to end up picking our date range. You can see typically when new users get started, it's going to be either 30 or 60 days worth of data. Now, if you have a really big account with a lot of data, you can shorten that to say 14 days, and that's going to be a little bit more representative of kind of the competitive ad landscape and the data of the competition. So that's advised if you've got enough data to work with. But as far as the checkboxes, the default is going to be kind of what you see here. All right, and we've got some FAQs down here. You definitely want to have your Seller Central set up for English. And when I click this yes button, if the prompt doesn't show up, you're going to want to make sure you kind of hover over the search bar up here and look for this. If you've got your pop-up blockers on, it's not going to open to the right place. So anyway, I'm going to hit yes, and you should see so now we're in the bulk campaign manager. Here you can see we pick our date range. We'll want to tick this box, keep this one off. If you're going to build sponsored brands campaigns, you do need the brand assets data, and that's with our bulk campaign builder. Otherwise, you can leave that unselected, and then you can see this one for this marketplace. You can't even choose this. But if you're in the US marketplace, make sure you, again, just have that ticked off. All right, and then hit create spreadsheet. You'll get your download down here. You can click on it when it's ready. I usually save that to either my desktop or in my Google Drive account. All right, so once we have that, we're going to manually import the bulk file. So this is one of the few reports that we actually manually import it, and that's just because it is so large. All right, so go to File, Import, and find that file. If you did save it to your desktop, you'll have to go to Upload and then upload it from your desktop. I've got it here within my Google Drive, so I'm just going to click Insert, and then here you're going to click Insert New Sheet, Import Data. All right, so once your bulk file imports, you should see all of the tabs that you see at the bottom of my screen right now. You'll have sponsored products, brands, the multi-ad group, sponsored brands. If you're watching this after the bulk sheets deprecates this legacy version of sponsored brands, you'll likely only just have sponsored products, the multi-ad group, and display. And then the two search term reports that we ticked there, those are sponsored products and brands search term reports. So those will be helpful. Okay, so that's kind of step one here. We're done with that. Now let's move on to this step. This is optional, and it's going to be dependent on kind of what you're wanting to do within Adtactix. You can hover over these kind of name codes here to get an idea of what they are, but I'm going to be going over each one in this video. What we're ultimately trying to do at this point is, as efficiently as possible, save and name these reports here in this folder. So this is an example of pretty much all of the supplemental reports. And there's a few here that you can either manually download or you can use our Chrome extension here that I have open in the right. The ones that I recommend, especially for the Chrome extension, is definitely the search query reports. Otherwise, you're going to have to manually download each weekly report for each ASIN, which takes a long time. But yeah, this is kind of what we're trying to do. And the way it works is these name codes become kind of the name, or in some cases, it's just a prefix that we require. They become the name of these files, as you can see, and they get saved into this special folder. So this folder is within your Google Drive, FBXL Tools, Adtactix folder, and then Adtactix data new. This is going to be set up automatically, this directory in your Google Drive account when you authorize Adtactix. And as long as you name the files correctly and you save the right report that I'm going over in this video, you will be able to automatically import them really quickly using this kind of supplemental reports hub. All right, and the way it works is you basically check these boxes for the ones that you want to download, and we're just going to come up here and click download supplemental data, and it's going to open us in a separate tab to where we need to go for all of these. So you can read this prompt here. You just want to make sure you've got the proper country selected up at the top. You've ticked all the boxes. You know, I could have just ticked one box, and it's only going to take me where I need to download that one. All right, and then you want to be logged into Seller Central and then Helium 10 if you're using the Rankx Tracker. All right, so this first one's going to be the traffic report, and you're going to want to match the date range here based on your bulk file. So if it's a 30-day bulk file, you would do from the 27th of October to November, and you'll literally just click download. If for some reason it's not on the child report, you can just click it here on the left. So you'll hit download, and if you set up your Google Chrome, let me actually show you. So you go here, settings, downloads, and then make sure this box is ticked on. That's going to make things as efficient as possible for you to download these quickly. So yeah, you'll just click the download, and then the other thing, I'll put the link to it, but if you have Google Drive for desktop, it'll be right there, install Google Drive. And what that allows you to do is on the left here, they have it for Mac and PC. So the one I'm using right now is this FBXL test. So I just double click, and you can see I can go into FBXL tools, Adtactix data new, and this is where I'm going to save all of the supplemental files. You can see this was the TRAF, that's the child ASIN traffic report. So you just name it TRAF and hit save, and you're done. So then you back out of that, come over to your Brain Analytics, and you have your ASIN list here. You can just copy it and put it in. Typically, you can do weekly. Typically the monthly will have more data, but it just kind of depends. You can play around with them and pick whichever one you want. You can click apply, and you can refine results just for those ASINs. You're just going to click generate download, and then open the download manager. The other thing you could use for this is the top search terms here. So it does a similar thing that I'm doing here. It does allow you one extra feature where if you did want to target certain search terms to look up data by, you can do multiple at a time, where in the Brain Analytics normal manual way you can't do that. You got to do, like I said, one search at a time. But I typically don't use the Chrome extension for this use case. I just download the data like I'm showing you here. So you'll just come up here, click download. Another kind of quick hack you can do is use the favorites over here. So if you go to Adtactix data new folder and then drag this over, you'll see that that'll show up now. Now you can get to it with one click, and that'll make things a lot faster. All right, and what you're naming this one is just BA. So if you single click and you already have one that you want to overwrite in here, you can do that. So I just single click, hit save. I'm not going to do it because I've already got kind of a demo there file. But now we can close out of these, and we're now into the Search Query Performance. Now this is the one I do use the Chrome extension for. So for this, you'll just click on Search Query Simple, pick your marketplace. All right, for this account, I think it's UK, and then you'll drop your list of ASINs in here, append all. That's going to put all the data in one report. What I typically will do is if I pull in 30 days worth of bulk sheets data, I'll also do like the last 4 weeks. So something like that. And then you're just going to hit download file. All right, if you do get errors while it's running like this, it just means that for those ASINs, maybe for that week, there wasn't any data. So the other option you could do is if you've got, a ton of products, like, I don't know, 300 products, it's going to take a while to run this report and get all the data. But if you just pick your top, products that have a lot of search query data, that's typically kind of the 80-20 here, and it's going to speed things up for you a lot. Here's my export. So now I just go into my Adtactix data new folder, and then I'm going to save it. You can see I got one right here, simple weekly. So I would just save that and hit save, and then I'm good to go there. So that's by far the most efficient way. But let me show you the manual way anyway. So you pick your ASIN, pick your reporting ranges weekly, select the week. You got to do 1 week at a time, hit apply, and then oh, this is UK. That's another thing you got to know the. So then you'll hit generate download, and then download manager, and then download that. You can see I've already got an example here. So you would download it, and then you have to name it the correct name. So the name here is the SQR underscore, then the ASIN, then underscore, then the week. So short story is I would definitely recommend you just use the Chrome extension, be way faster. But that is how you would do it manually if you wanted to do that. And you can see there's 2 options here if you hover over. This is set up right now for the manual example, but you alternatively can use the Chrome extension that I just showed you and get that SQR simple report that's literally got all your ASINs in one file. Super fast, super efficient. So yeah, the rank tracking, I would recommend you use the Rankx tool. That's our own internal tool. It's actually a lot more accurate than any rank tracking tools out on the market. Allows you to pick the zip code, the time of day you're going to want to pull the data in, and you can very easily sync all your Rankx data with just this click, kind of on demand, once you've set up the Rankx tool. So that's kind of an additional supplemental data source that's independent of this supplemental reports hub down here. This one here is just if you're a Helium 10 super fan and you want to use their data. They've also got search volume data and stuff like that, which is helpful. Rankx will have the brand analytics and search volume data, not at the time of this video, but here within the next few weeks, it'll have that automatically in there as well. But let me show you on the keyword tracker here. It's pretty simple. You're going to have to set it up in Helium 10 first. That's really easy. Just click add a new product. Then you add your keyword list. You got to give it a few days to start populating data. But once you're good to go there, you do have to download separate files for every ASIN. So that's another reason to use the Rankx tracker. It's going to be a lot more efficient. But if you do want to use the historical reports the Helium 10 has, you just hop in here, hit export history, and then here, you want to pick something reasonable, maybe it's like the last 2 weeks or something. It is going to keep overwriting the current data in your rank tracking section within Adtactix. So it's basically anytime you want to import new rank data, you're going to have to come here with Helium 10 and pick the date range of data you want to see, and then export that. So you literally just click this is a pretty long span, so I would literally just pick maybe like 1 month. So that's there, export. Yeah, and it's going to take time and stuff, so it's preferred if you use the Rankx tracker tool. This feature is kind of just in there for a select group of users that like Helium 10. But anyway, come here, name it KW underscore, and then the ASIN. So that's kind of the nomenclature there. Hit save, and then that will import along with kind of all the other data there. So you can see KW underscore ASIN. All right, the other thing I'll mention is there is a template in the members area, and I'll put it actually, I think I have it in a few different places, but I'll actually drop it in this section here down at the bottom is kind of a resource, but it's just a blank template. If you have another keyword rank tracker that you like to use, you just need to port that data over to that template, and then it will come in under this report names nomenclature. So if you want to use some other rank tracking tool out there, that's an option. So, all right, that's keyword tracking. Now, this is one of the more popular, mostly used supplemental reports, especially search term impression share for sponsored products and brands. I'll go over these two as well. Actually, I'll reference two videos at the end of this that use these. These aren't actually used in the Supplemental Reports Hub, but they're used in two mini tools within Adtactix. The targeting report, and that's the daily version, is for the Target Sniper tool, and then this one here is for the Daily Insights tool. So I've got two videos that go over those pretty well. So I'll again reference those or splice them in right here so you can get access there. But for the sake of this video, the best way to do this is to set up scheduled reports here. And what you can do, just come into create reports. The scheduler is actually down here at the bottom. So I'm going to go over each kind of the settings for each one of these. All right, so the first one is the sponsored display. I personally don't use this a lot, but if you're going to use ASIN, if you're going to target, the ASINs and sponsored display, and you want to use it for harvesting potentially new product ASIN targets for other ad types, that's a report you can pull in. It's going to import and sync very similarly to your sponsored product search term report and sponsored brand search term report. The sponsored products impression share and sponsored brands impression share, those are really widely used. The sponsored brands placement report is not that widely used. It's only used for a snapshot tool. So you got to kind of know what each one of these is used for. And if you hover over these, it gives an explanation. But anyway, the sponsored display, so the settings there is sponsored display, and it's going to be the summary version. So you want to, it's called the match target report summary version, and then typically you would want to match the date range with your bulk file date range again. So that's a common theme between any of these supplemental reports when we're trying to use it in conjunction with PPC data. You always want to kind of match the date range there, with the exception of your impression share reports here, which I'll talk about in a second. But you can set this up to recurring, and you can use it to set it up daily. I don't think there's any issue or drawback to just using the daily there. And then set the end date somewhere, as far in advance as it lets you, just kind of like that. And then you hit schedule report, and then what you end up getting is a line item similar to these here, where all you need to do is come in and click this little button here. And this is not the sponsored display report, but you will get the point. So same place here. You can see it's a different file type. That's why the other ones aren't showing up right here. But you're just going to name that once you save it as sponsored display. And then it'll always be ready for you when you come back in here and open it up. It'll just say, the last run is today. So anyway, let me do a couple examples here. So I do want to grab these. So that's the sponsored products search term share report, sponsored brands. And to set those up, the settings are for sponsored products. You've got the search term impression share, and that's going to be summary. And then here's the one you want to tighten up. So last 7 days is a good, that's the last 7 days is probably the maximum I would do. But I think that's the only one you can actually schedule, if I'm not mistaken. So that's probably where I would start. Otherwise, you have to do, like, if you want to do like the last 2 days, you would have to come in and choose those. And you don't have to do the reoccurring. It's just a lot faster. So the reason for the tighter range, again, I may have mentioned it earlier, but you want to have kind of more recent data where impression share is showing you how your search terms are stacking up against the competition and how much impressions you're getting in relation to the market. So kind of the tighter date range there gives you a bit more insight into more current data. So that's kind of why that is set up. And then similarly, you can kind of set the reoccurring up in the same manner. And then for sponsored brands, you're literally just changing this to search term impression share summary last 7 days, set this far in advance, schedule it. All right, and then you're just saving them all in the exact same way. So for sponsored product, I would come in here, I'd click this, and you just want to make sure you don't actually accidentally choose the wrong format. And if you forget, hover over here. It's got it written, which type it needs to be, and it's got some notes there. All right, so last one here in the kind of ads reports console is your sponsor brands placement report. And again, this one is only for the snapshot audit. So typically you wouldn't set this up as reoccurring. It's not used that frequently. But you go to sponsor brands, you go to the campaign placement, and then that's going to be a summary report as well. And then you would want to match that again with your with the bulk range, data range, and then run and download that. Again, not frequently used, but know that it's there. All right, and we've covered search query, we've covered brand analytics, we've covered traffic, we've covered the rank tracking. All right, so actually, let me hop over to this one next. All right, so you can see it opens you to the targetings dashboard within Campaign Manager. I'll probably have to blur out a lot of this, so just navigate to this place in Campaign Manager and you'll get an understanding. But you're going to want to customize the columns, make sure they're all added. That's kind of step one. And then hit apply. You only have to really do that one time. But then you can export any segment here that you want. And I would recommend adding a filter because this report can get pretty big. Typically, orders greater than something, say 3. And then down at the bottom, you only can export 300 at a time. So if you did want to have more than 300, you'd have to do multiple targets files like this. And Adtactix will import multiple at once as long as you name them with the targets underscore prefix. But you can also come down here, just make sure this is set to 300. That's going to maximize the export there. And then we also do have a targeting downloader we're working on here that allows you to export a lot more targets into a single file, similar to how the search query simple works. It's not quite done. Hopefully by this time this video launches, it will be ready. So just kind of keep an eye out there, and you can consult the Chrome extension guide if you want to deploy that. But it's really for downloading, this data here that I'm showing you manually. So anyway, the operating process here, I would recommend filtering by orders or whatever. You can filter by anything you want, and the idea is for the bid override table is where this data is used the most. So you definitely want to kind of match any of the sorting that would show the targets on the bid override table, and then you're going to export this, and you're going to put this here, and it's going to be targets underscore. By default, you can see Amazon already names it targets underscore. So this is an example of our Chrome extension export, but you can name it like this. Just hit save, and then that report will come in automatically. So that is the last report of all the Amazon stuff. The only report we have not covered is the Keyword Dominator export into Adtactix. So within Keyword Dominator, if you get to the listing wizard tab and you want to export some rows of keywords here, what you want to do is you want to tick all the boxes for the keywords that you want to export. And from the drop down here, make sure you choose Adtactix and then just click on this. All right, and it's going to create a special export that you can easily import then into Adtactix, and it's typically used in the Adtactix Dashboard to see some extra data, or add quickly the keywords from your keyword list into the Adtactix Dashboard. All right, so here's kind of the export format here, and then you've got your file gets automatically exported to the export files folder. So it's a little different. You do have to move it into the Adtactix data new folder. It's going to be inside your root drive account under FBXL export files. And you can see here, there's some examples of how it looks once it's exported. Just go ahead and move that then. If you do want to use it for Adtactix, just move it into that Adtactix data new like that, and it should be ready to go then. All right, so let's just review these again. You got your traffic report, that's your child ASIN traffic report. Make sure it matches your bulk file date range. Targets, that's from your targeting dashboard within Campaign Manager. You're gonna want to make sure you encompass as many targets off the bid override table as possible. Search Query Simple Report, this is from the Chrome extension. That's where you dump in all of your ASINs into the Chrome extension and get at least like the past 4 weeks. If you have a ton of data, you may just get the most recent week and keep importing that into Adtactix, but that's super powerful data source there. This is the manual Search Query Report. That's not as used as frequently. The search term impression share for sponsored products, that's a very common one. That's from the Campaign Manager report download section, and you'll want to set that up on a schedule for the most recent 7 days is a good place to start. The sponsored display match target report, that's not as frequently used, but it can be used in very similar fashion to your sponsored brands and sponsored products search term report if you want to harvest the ASINs there. Your sponsored brand search term report, that can be commonly used if you run a lot of sponsored brands ads. So again, that's set up in the same fashion as the sponsored products. Sponsored brands placement report, this one's not as frequently used, but it is used in the snapshot audit if you do use that. And then the last one there is our keyword Dominator. We just talked about that. That's the export off of keyword Dominator. And then your brand analytics, this one is commonly used as well. That's where you grab all of your ASINs, plug it into the top search term brand analytics section, and then export that data. All right. So after you have those saved, you basically can toggle on and off any of the ones that you want to bring in, and it's only going to bring those in. So if you did download all of them, you could bring them all in at once. The most common ones that I will do are these. We've got our Search Query Performance. Now, the Search Query Performance, keep in mind, it can be this with the Chrome extension or this with the manual. So just know that that can be used either way. Brand Analytics, that's commonly used. Traffic's commonly used. Keyword Dominator's commonly used if you're really big into using the Adtactix Dashboard and using for keyword harvesting, and then this one as well. So this is the most commonly used reports here. The other option I'll tell you about is the import move mode. So if you tick this on, as we import these automatically, it will move the files from this Adtactix Data New folder over to the Adtactix Data Imported folder. And that's just to keep your Adtactix Data New folder kind of clean. So for the next time when you save all the files, you can very quickly just import those. Now, if you want to overwrite the existing files, it does make it a little bit quicker probably to save the names and stuff. You don't have to tick that box, and you can just leave it kind of how I had it set up here. So anyway, when you're ready to import the data, as long as you have them saved in the Adtactix Data New folder and they're named correctly, they should import just fine. I'm going to go to Manage Supplemental Data, Import Supplemental Data. All right, and I'm going to hit Yes, and you should start seeing these reports update a status prompt here off to the right as they come in. Now, if you do get any sort of error, definitely just open the file up within your Google Drive and inspect it. You may have accidentally downloaded the wrong file type. A really common one is instead of downloading summary version, you download detailed or daily version by accident. So keep an eye out for that. After you hit OK, though, go ahead and review this section. Just make sure everything looks like it came in OK. And as long as it did, you're pretty well done with your supplemental reports, and you're ready to sync everything together. And that's just done with this button here. That's going to tie in your bulk file plus all the supplemental data and just get the tool set up and ready to rock. So I'm just going to click on that now. And once you're all ready to go, you'll get this prompt. Just hit OK. And that is pretty much it. You're going to have all your bulk file sheets set up, and where the data is used from the supplemental data, it will be kind of ready to deploy. Example is your search term report. You've got your search term impression data. You've got your bid override table. When you sync this, it'll have all of your search query performance data. It's going to have all your brand analytics data. It's going to have your impression share data here. It's going to have suggested bid, top search impression share. Just know that you do have to click this blue button to kind of refresh this dashboard with the most recent data. So outside of that, the only other thing we briefly brushed over is if you do use the Rankx tool, you do want to sync this kind of on demand. It'll pull in, the Rankx tool runs consistently kind of hands off. So you just need to on demand sync that to pull in the data. And that's pretty much it. As far as actually deleting the use sheets once you're done for the day, you're just going to click on this button. That's going to remove all of the existing data and let you just kind of get ready for the next session. And yeah, hopefully this video helps you understand all of the supplemental data sources. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to support. And stay tuned for some of the next training. We're actually going to show you how to use all of this new data inside the bid override table and the Adtactix dashboard. So cheers.